For years, people thought I was strong because I kept going. What they didn't see was underneath how exhausted I was from carrying everything alone. Welcome to Regulate and Rise, where regulation is the path to liberation. I'm Lianna, founder of the Emancipation Frequency.
And I'm Tracy, founder of Ruha Rising, and I'm also a trauma conscious somatic practitioner.
And tonight we are talking about something I'm sure everybody listening can relate to. It's what it feels like to be strong on the outside, yet struggling on the inside. The hidden burnout. This is going to be a good conversation because I think we can all relate. Um,
Yes.
so let's get right into it. Why do so many people wear that I'm fine, I'm fine mask? Why do you think so many people wear that mask?
Because we are taught to say, I'm fine. We're taught to be private, to keep things to ourselves. Don't share family secrets. Don't say too much about yourself. The other thing is, our society is so uncomfortable with feelings, emotions. So
Good
we're
point.
told, hide those, stuff them down, put a smile on your face, come on out, say I'm fine. But reality is, we stuff those down and they're still there. But we're
Exactly.
taught basically to say I'm fine.
Talk about self abandonment. That self abandonment is a beast. I'll tell you, because it shows up in a number of ways,
Mhm,
especially in survival mode. And
mhm, mhm,
it's deep. But society
mhm,
rewards us for pushing through. Society always rewards
mhm,
us for pushing through, as if it's some badge of honor that you get to wear because you're this badass because yeah, I made it through. But think about the hidden cost of that. And I know because I've experienced this
mhm,
through a good portion of my life.
mhm,
Well, like you said, many people don't feel safe. And nervous system regulation is all about safety. They don't feel safe asking for help.
mhm.
And
No.
another point is that being needed can also become part of our identity. Now that's a deep one.
Mhm, mhm,
Boy, I'm I'm thinking about the psychological ways that this shows up in
mhm,
in ourselves as people who are living in survival mode and
mhm,
carrying the burden of being the strong one.
mhm.
So we sometimes don't even notice this burnout until we're knee deep in it.
Right.
Isn't that true?
That's very true. And I wanted to go back to your first point. Society rewards us for pushing through. But sometimes we don't even get that reward because you push through to the first expectation, you think that's the end, and they say, more. We need more. That's nice, but we need more. So that sometimes there's just never even an end point of expectations, especially in the workplace. Um, and we don't notice burnout because we're so busy, our systems don't get a chance to rest, reset, regulate, rise. We don't get those opportunities. We don't build them into our days because we're so busy meeting everyone else's needs and expectations that we're just like a robot wired up, like the Energizer Bunny, you know, that commercial.
Hmm.
We're
Oh my
like that sometimes. We keep going and going, and we don't notice. don't stop until we get sick, we pass out, we have a nervous breakdown. So
Exactly.
it is very hard to stop. It just becomes who we are. Yep.
So let's talk about that because the hidden cost, let's talk about the hidden cost of what burnout actually looks like for people who are high functioning and tend to be the strong ones all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because burnout doesn't just mean lying in bed, unable to function. You can be as high functioning as possible. And,
Mm-hmm.
most people won't even know that you're burnout. And, I have
Right.
a good example of that because I used to be Miss Multitasker Extraordinaire. And it just became habit
Mm-hmm.
for me, you know, carrying the weight
Mm-hmm.
of uh, working a job. Everybody at the job counted
Mm-hmm.
on me to do what I needed to do in order to bring uh, work in. I was a director of sales at a telecommunications company, and they
Mm-hmm.
were counting on me to bring work in. If I didn't bring work in, nobody worked. And
Right.
then I had to go home and raise my two daughters who were in grade school and high school at that time. And you talk about
Mm-hmm.
multitasking, having to come home, cook dinner, take people to practice, pick people up from practice. I don't know how I did it sometimes. I just kept going and going and going. And sometimes I would lay in bed and I would think, oh my God, how did I do that? You don't realize it when you're up in it and you're
Mm-hmm.
humming like a machine. But then when you slow down, it's like, how in
Mm-hmm.
God's name did I get through all of that?
And when you look back on it, you ask those questions, but somehow you got through it. But then you look at, what did I miss out in my life? Where did I get to rest? Where did I get to regulate? How did I reset and recharge myself?
Exactly.
I missed
Because I
all
was
these years because I was
exactly
doing all these tasks. Yeah.
right.
Go ahead. Mm.
And no, I didn't. I did not give myself the grace to rest. I thought resting was weak, you know? And the only time I rested was when I physically went to bed. I did not allow myself to take naps uh, if I needed them. I didn't allow myself to give myself a break.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it became detrimental to my health. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to the doctor on many occasions and I would give them a list of what was going on with me and all of them related it to stress and I wasn't buying it, but that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm not the only one that has dealt with that.
Mm.
It can take a huge cost in terms of your health and well-being.
And sometimes we think if we're in control, we're on top of all these situations at work, parenting, with our spouses, our partners, our friends, our parents. We think if we're in control, we're not stressed out. But your body knows stress when your mind does not know stress, if that makes sense. Your body is keeping all that inside and holding on to it. It takes energy, it takes brain work to hold on to all that stuff and do all of that stuff. And it stresses your body out, it stresses your nervous system out. And you don't know because you're so busy being in control and staying busy. But your body, again, your body knows. Your body will tell you. We don't always listen to it. Oh, I got a headache. That's just because I had a bad day. That headache could be leading to a more serious health condition. Or,
Hmm.
oh, my stomach hurts. That stomach ache could lead to more diagnoses, but we ignore a lot of our symptoms. It could just mean I need to eat right, I need to rest, I need to sleep, I need to exercise, but it could also mean serious or minor health problems that need our attention. So we got to pay attention to what our bodies are feeling and telling us.
Exactly. And that's just like, it's fascinating to me how nervous system dysregulation is in the body. And
Mhm,
so many of us, I know I did not think about it being in my body. I
mhm,
was more cerebral. I'm thinking, I'm a thinker. And I'm an overthinker, and I'm an analyzer, and a 360 degree. Okay, let's figure this out and come up with
mhm,
a solution and get it done. But I, again, like you were saying, all these things can show up in your body, and that's where nervous system dysregulation shows up. But we're not thinking about that, and we develop all these habits. Uh, and habits aren't just things that you do.
mhm,
Habits can show up in your body as responses to trauma, as
mhm,
responses to being overworked and overwhelmed and carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And
mhm,
that just does something for me, because until I recognized that it's my body that needs support as well, not just in working out or my fitness routine, but it's actually
mhm,
regulating and breathing and grounding and
mhm,
you know, what, patting my heart when I when I need to go within and settle down. It's so important to be able to
mhm,
recognize these things. And then on top of that,
mhm. And
we
your heart is a muscle, and it
yeah,
does need. Mhm,
absolutely. And we have to pay attention to those things. And that's why you and I always talk about, you when you're in those situations, literally you have to take a time out. Easier said than done, but train it to be a
mhm,
habit. Take time for
mhm,
yourself and go within and scan your body and find out
mhm,
where that stress is, or where that particular trauma is. Why am I feeling this? You know,
mhm,
and gosh, it is so helpful to have someone to lean on, because when you don't, it makes it even worse. You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
have you experienced this, people, everyone in the audience? Have you experienced being the one that carries the load? And
mhm,
have you paid attention to what that does to your body, your mind, and your spirit? Because it takes a toll.
mhm,
And what did it look like for you when that happened?
mhm,
What were you going through? What did you experience? Was it something on the job? Was it something in your personal life? What did you experience? So, a lot of the times, there are signs that people miss, when they're carrying the load and being the strong one. It's like, what is it doing to your body? It sometimes can feel like you're exhausted and you can't relax, or you're constantly thinking about what needs to be done. I'll raise my hand on that one. Feeling emotionally numb, that's a deep one too. Losing excitement for things that you used to enjoy,
mhm,
increased irritability, brain fog, forgetfulness, feeling disconnected from yourself, or feeling like you're even going through the motions in life.
mhm,
So, Tracy, let me ask you, why do people ignore these signs? How come people can't see their dysregulation in real time?
Because, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're taught that our feelings, our emotions don't matter. Those are trivial things. Those don't need to be validated. We are taught to be thinkers in our society. Think, come up with a plan, figure out the situation. You can do it. And no attention is given to what do our bodies need for the most part? Or what about that emotional piece? What about that spiritual piece? These are all parts of our being. And when we're stressed out because we're constantly doing, we're not even aware of these signs, as Liana has been saying, or something pops up and we ignore the little signs. But part of your nervous system, when you're stressed out, your body, your brain, body takes over, your nervous system takes over. It says, I need to be safe, I need to protect. In order to get through this moment, I need to finish that project. I need to get my kids to school. I need to make sure they do this. Or I need to make sure all these things that are on our check off to do mental checklist. But we're ignoring those emotions, which are connected to all of our muscular reactions. Our emotions are held in our muscles. They're expressed through our body, through our nervous system. And when we're shutting those off, we're numb. We can't pay attention to them. When you're stressed out because you're constantly doing and thinking, your brain literally cannot take information in, process it, and spit it back out. So you get that brain fog. I'm not really here. What's going on? That's your body saying, we need to stop and slow down, take a break, come back to it. And we ignore these mainly because we're taught to ignore them. We're not allowed to focus on them. Something must be wrong with you if you can't get through this moment, if you can't complete this task. But you're a human being first and foremost. You got to take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. And again, your body takes over, your nervous system takes over, and it will shut you down or take you completely out if we don't stop ignoring these signs.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. Because when we're caught up in these situations, we don't have clarity. I mean, if you have brain fog, how can you have clarity? It's very challenging to carry the load. And even now, let's talk about why this is happening to so many people right now. Because there's a lot of financial pressure,
Mm-hmm.
rising costs and uncertainty. There's job insecurity with everything going on in the world right now, layoffs,
Mm-hmm.
the unemployment rate is through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
AI taking over. You got caregiving responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
constant information overload. People are comparing themselves also on social media. That
Mm-hmm.
presents pressure and
Mm-hmm.
you know does something to your self-worth and your self-esteem. So that
Mm-hmm.
presents, and because you see all these people succeeding and you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I still sitting here behind this desk? And why am I not out there doing that thing that I'd rather do?
Mm-hmm.
And then feeling like you can never catch up. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot going on right now. And do you think people are actually carrying more today, or do they simply have less recovery time? I think it's a little of both.
That's what I was going to say because we are carrying more because there's more responsibility put on us. I'm remembering when I grew up, and even as a young adult, you called somebody, you called a company, you got a person, not a let me push this number, then that one. Oops, you got cut off. We're constantly having to make our own phone calls for insurance and any place we call. Nobody really is there for us. There are not people. It's AI, it's automated, it's So we're carrying more responsibilities in that way. Um, it's hard to rest, it's hard to relax. And the other thing about what's going on today is once we figure things out, it changes. We wake up in the morning. Guess what? Something else has happened in our world that has changed everything that we know, our budgets, our health. Healthcare is changing. We took this away. We got to switch to this. Oh, guess what? Your gas price is going up. Oh, then your groceries are going up. That just blows your budget all out of the water, and then you have to figure out again. So our brains are constantly trying to keep up with all the changes that are out of our control. And that's the part that's hardest for us. It's out of our control. We can take back into control what actions can we take, but we're constantly having to do that. So we're just so dysregulated, and there's just a lot going on. And social media, are the kids nowadays are being brought up to, this is what you're supposed to be doing, this is what it looks like. So we've got not just the kids, adults too. As Lianna said, sometimes we feel like we're failing at life. We're constantly having things thrown in our face saying you're not good enough, you didn't do enough. Nobody knows what we're going through but us.
Oh, ooh, good.
Nobody can define our success but us. But we're
You're,
constantly being told, nah, you got to live up to this. You got to live up to that. Forget what
mhm.
you say. This is what you need to be doing. This is the standard.
Oh my God. I want you just reminded me of, I wanted to share this story. I think the one of the worst things that you can experience is going through things with your own children who
Mhm.
don't have any clue what you're experiencing. And I experienced this with my daughters because after I got my divorce, I called us the Three Musketeers. You know, it was us against the world. And I did and did and did and overdid and overextended and
Mhm.
felt like I had to be mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, cousin to my daughters because they didn't see their father except every other weekend, and I felt like I needed to plug myself into multiple parts of their lives. But I gave so much of myself that I when they became teenagers and they were in high school and I felt they were old enough for me to even have someone in my life. I
Mhm.
mean, I dated on and off, but it was, when they were not with me on the weekends because I didn't want them to think that I didn't want them to get connected with someone or get close to someone that I may not even, you know, date
Mhm.
for a long period of time. But then when I got someone in my life, they couldn't understand it. And it was hard for me because I was so used to doing everything myself, I didn't know how to receive.
Mhm.
And so it was a challenge, and I kind of had to allow myself to learn how to receive because I didn't know how to receive help. I wanted to do everything. And then my youngest daughter told me that she thought I was Superwoman, and it disappointed her when I had someone in my life who was actually doing things for me and helping me out, that she told me I fell off of her pedestal.
Mhm.
And that hurt me more than you can imagine because I know what I did, why I did it. I remember the times I cried, making decisions and having to be in 20 places at one time and having to work jobs that were literally killing me and I couldn't stand it.
Mhm.
But disappointing your children And at the same time, they had no clue what you were going through.
Right.
That's heavy. That is being the strong one with nobody there to help you. But then when someone does step into your life to help you, then
Mm-hmm.
you feel the weight of all of that too. So that was challenging.
Mm-hmm. So constantly trying to figure things out. How do I please this person and that person and do what I need to do and be respected? And so we're not just trying to meet goals and do tasks. We're trying to meet those other parts of ourselves, emotional, connectivity, social, everything.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the nervous system connection a little bit more, because in these types of situations, when you're being the strong one and you're carrying everything and you're burnt the hell out, survival mode becomes your norm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, literally, I know for me, I didn't know I was in survival mode. I'm thinking I'm just going through things, and because maybe I'm tired or whatever, I'm snapping at so and so, or um, I
Mm-hmm.
feel overwhelmed, or it was a multitude of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and stress is a biggie in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you add a little more to that in terms of the nervous system connection?
So with all we're dealing with in life, the nervous system connection. When we talk about fight or flight, some people just think it means literally fighting, fist fighting, and running away. It can be lashing out at people. It can be getting angry all of a sudden, being irritable all the time. Those are fight or flight, get away from me, type things. Or the shutdown, we withdraw into ourselves. Or we make it so our nervous system does we don't want to be around people because we just can't handle it. We need to survive, we need to get through the day. So we block people out, literally, um, not sharing things. People want to engage with us, we don't want to be bothered. So your nervous system just takes over. You're stressed out, and it does all kinds of things that, if I hate to say this like this, but when we're in our right minds, which means
What's
we're
that?
rested, we're regulated, it means we're rested, we're regulated. We can make different decisions and feel good about them. But if we're not rested, regulated, and our minds aren't, really making good decisions because we're not in control of them, our nervous system is. It takes over. We need to be able to rest and relax and reset so we can make choices that we want, that we feel good about, make choices that help our kids thrive, not just survive, and help us thrive and not just survive. Because, all of us don't have kids. No, I do, but just so everyone knows, we're all meant to thrive, not just survive.
Exactly.
And the more we can put our nervous systems online, meaning rested, regulated, we can think and make decisions clearly, consider all options, look at different perspectives before we make a choice or a decision. We need that in our lives. We need to be able to do that and not just live in stress.
I know for me now, when I'm observing people, whether it be family members or
Mm-hmm.
friends or whatever, ever since I became aware of nervous system dysregulation and what it takes to regulate, it's amazing what you can see in other people. And you
Mm-hmm.
can, if you have a little background in what they've been through or whatever, you can see the whole process. You can see the dysregulation, you can see all those different things that come into that, that play
Mm-hmm.
into that, like the overwhelm, the brain fog, the not being able to make decisions, um, snapping at people. It's just, it's amazing the things that you can see. That's why
Mm-hmm.
awareness is key. And let's talk about some of the hidden beliefs
Mm-hmm.
related to, being the strong one. Um, Sometimes people think if I stop, everything is going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm raising my hand, both hands on that one, because I felt like I had to do everything. It was more efficient that way. And, you know, it got the job done. I didn't have to worry about listening to anybody bicker about
Right.
who's doing what. Uh, so sometimes you just take over and it just becomes habitual and it just, you run like a machine, literally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, if nobody else will do it, we start thinking that becomes one of our beliefs. I have to be strong because that's your identity.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was for me. You know, a, your ego sometimes will not allow you to drop that mask
Mm-hmm.
of strength because you don't want to be vulnerable. I had that problem for a long time, and vulnerability is a strength.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we attach our value to what we do,
Mm-hmm.
who we are as a literal person. Um, some of us, like we talked earlier, people think rest is being lazy if you take
Mm-hmm.
take time out to rest, you know, and people just, they need me.
Mm-hmm.
They need me. Where
Mm-hmm.
do these beliefs come from?
Things that we tell ourselves to feel good about ourselves, things we've been taught growing up, things we've seen. Uh, we might experience consequences if we aren't always there, if we aren't always on, if we don't always do everything and make all the decisions, if we're not always strong. People may see us as weak if we express our emotions. You're weak. If you rest, you're lazy. And yet, I'm just going to throw this out there. And yet, take it for example, people love dogs. Well, a lot of people love their dogs. You got the dogs that are jumping up and down. I do have a point with this. There are dogs jumping up and down, the ones that are so hyper, they're licking you, they're wagging their tails, they're jumping on you. That's Picture that as nervous system completely dysregulated. And once they calm down and they're laying on your lap, they're letting you pet them, they're comforting you. That's your nervous system calm. So we should be allowed to, not jump up and down on people, but if our
Why not?
well, if you're at the trampoline park, there's a time and a place. So we need to be afforded the same ability to be dysregulated and then calm down and relax ourselves so we can be comfortable, so we can connect with other people, so we can hug people, lay our head on their shoulders, whatever. Um, we're human. We need these things. We need that connection, the co regulation. If you're regulated and your energy's calm, we're going to get along fine. If you're not, I'm going to have some problems. So, would you rather live in I have problems every day, or let's take a moment or some moments during the day to calm down so that when we come together, we're enjoying ourselves, we're enjoying our lives? Which one would you rather have?
Exactly. How do we allow someone into our sacred space to help us? How do we ask for help? How do we shift out of machine mode
Mm-hmm.
and into that woo-saw moment where we allow someone in to help. We allow them into our space.
That a lot of times takes a lot of work because we have to give ourselves permission to feel what we're feeling and to go, okay, what thoughts are coming up with these feelings? I don't like this. I need help with this, or I'm struggling. I don't want to do it all. I can't physically do it all. I need some help. You have to first be able to recognize that, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and think what you're thinking. And then you have to find safe people, safe spaces to be in where you can ask for that help without, asking for help and then something being thrown in your face. Well, I showed you how to do that already, and da 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 da. Or you should know how to do that yourself, or you must be stupid. We got to find places where people are going to say, okay, I understand, let me help you. We got to find safe spaces. Sometimes we have to create those. We have to learn how to take what we're feeling and thinking and take that. How do I communicate that assertively? Say what I mean without hurting someone's feelings or without, insulting them. How do I say what I need to say and feel okay, even if people don't accept what I say? At least I said it. So you may not always get the help you ask for, but we've got to learn how to ask for it. How can we ask for it without controlling people? You need to do that. That's not asking for help.
Mhm.
Vulnerability, as Lianna mentioned earlier, is one of the hardest things to be because people will criticize you. People will bash you. People will hurt your feelings. People may hurt you in many ways. So, being vulnerable, finding those safe people to talk to, learning how to say what we need to ask for, learning when we need help before situations get out of control, and feeling okay, not feeling guilty. Sometimes that's counseling, life coaching, all different kinds of programs that you can get into until you feel comfortable with yourself. Um, some people look things up online. Be careful what you look up. Some of it's helpful, some of it isn't, but you'll find usually what's helpful to you. Uh, Learning how to slow down, regulate yourself so that you can breathe through the moments, so you can ask for the help because you know that you need it and you cannot continue on in a healthy way without that help. Sometimes you might have to ask several different people, but
And I think that those are all extremely good points. And the other thing I think is that you have to learn how to unapologetically start caring about you.
mhm,
You matter, your needs matter. You know, if we're so busy doing things for everyone else all the time, when do we take charge of our own lives?
mhm,
And that's when I started coming around was when I started caring about me. And I'm talking about with regard to the job, all of the demands that they place on you. It came with setting boundaries on the
mhm,
job. It came with setting boundaries on my kids and setting boundaries even on family members and friends. Because if I'm constantly out there putting myself out there bearing the load for everyone, you
mhm,
know, that's going to run me into the ground really quick. And I
mhm,
and I started thinking, if the amount of energy that I'm putting out and I'm exchanging with you is greater than what I'm getting in return, I had to really look at that, and I had to really pull myself away from relationships that were like that in my life, because that's saving my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowing me to regulate and do the things I need to do for me, for my self care.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can someone do if they recognize themselves in this particular conversation? Like, we can say they can pause, take a pause before
Mm-hmm.
pushing harder, before,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't stop, if you don't put the stick in the spokes of the bicycle and stop,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to keep going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the Energizer Bunny.
Mm-hmm. So when you start feeling yourself getting overwhelmed and you feel like you're recognizing, I need a break. I need a break. I don't know what to say in this moment. I don't know what to do. You can take your own break. You can say, if you're at home or if you're in a meeting, I'll be right back. I just need to take a quick break. Go to the restroom or walk down the hall or whatever the case is. You can, so that's one way to take a break and take a moment to relax because you're moving. Movement regulates. If you can't get out of a situation, like you can't leave where you are, you can simply, any kind of twisting, you know how we twist in our chairs, just stretching, that calms down your nervous system. It keeps it from being stuck up here and constantly overthinking thoughts running. It kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? It sends signals to other parts of your body. It distributes it different ways so it's not stuck all in one place, which allows you to center yourself, ground yourself, and relax a little more. You can also, I always go to this is one of the simplest things to do, tapping your heart, taking a deep breath, or even if you have the opportunity or you feel like doing it, and if it feels right, you can take 2 quick breaths through your nose as you're doing this. That takes all that energy that's in your body that's stuck and it redistributes it. It gets some of it out. It calms your body down so you can at least take a moment's rest to reset. Sometimes that's all you need. You don't, a reset doesn't mean I have to go to an hour yoga class or an hour of spinning class or Zumba or an hour at the gym. Simple, that's very helpful once you get to the place where you can do that if you have the time in your day. But those little micro moments are going to make such a big difference if you can learn, I need to rest, I need to reset, I need to think for a moment.
So how do we rise from here? Let's talk about rising from this place. Let's redefine strength, because strength doesn't necessarily have to be you're the one that carries
Mm-hmm.
everything on your shoulders. You're the
Right.
one that's responsible for everything and making sure everyone's happy
Mm-hmm.
and fed and all of that good stuff. Strength can mean becoming aware and taking those micro moments, like
Mm-hmm.
you said. That strength is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
taking care of you, self care. That's a strength. And then something else we can do is letting go of perfection. It does not have to be perfect.
Right.
I know I used to be on my kids' case, clean this, clean that, and do this and do that. And then I saw something. It was something about kids leaving their fingerprints somewhere. And it was like how you're going to miss that when they get older. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
the exact
I know
quote.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I need to take a chill pill and just, it'll get done. Everything's fine. Don't sweat
Mhm.
the small stuff. So I stopped.
Mhm.
But then I noticed everyone in my life around, I started connecting with people who were very anal about
Mhm.
cleaning and doing, and every little dust ball being removed. Woo, that was a whole different ball game. But so we need to let go of that perfection
Mhm.
and prioritize regulation. As
Mhm.
Tracy's been saying this whole time,
Mhm.
if we try to constantly stay in the mode that we've been operating in, our bodies literally cannot operate in survival mode forever. Survival mode is supposed to serve that fight or flight purpose. It's not supposed to be an ongoing
Right.
daily mantra for your life. And
Mhm.
God, does it take a long time to figure that out sometimes.
Yes.
And again, we have to learn how to receive support. Just like Tracy was saying a little while ago, she gave us some great tips on that.
Mhm.
So let me ask you guys, what are you carrying right now that feels really heavy? Is there anything that's heavy? And when was the last time you felt truly rested?
Mhm.
Do you struggle to ask for help? And have you confused being busy with being okay?
Mhm.
I hope that you have been able to see yourself in this conversation. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Tracy and I
Mhm.
will answer any questions you have. Tracy is our resident expert on nervous system regulation and movement. And, you know, she has some fantastic services that she offers with her
Mhm.
Ruha Rising service. She is, you know, check out her website because there's a link in the description.
Mhm.
And, you know, Tracy can help you learn how to separate yourself from, you know, being the one that's carrying all the burdens. She can help you
Mhm.
work through all these things and regulate your nervous system again.
Mhm. Like what steps you can take to let go of, delegate, take care of yourself, and deal with whatever feelings come up, guilt, shame, anger, whatever comes up. I can help you deal with that, learn how it lives in your body, how it takes over sometimes your body, and how can you work with that, because our feelings are our feelings. They come up, we can't stop them, but they do go away if we allow them to not take over. And there are ways to deal with that and become aware of what you're doing and how to just take more steps that you want to take in the positive direction that you want to grow in. Um,
Absolutely.
how I like
So instead of how do I become stronger,
it. Mhm.
maybe the better question is what would happen if I stopped carrying so much today?
Mhm.
Today.
Mhm.
It's time to make that shift.
Yes. Mhm.
So, Tracy, do you have any words of wisdom to leave us with this evening? Do you want to take us through a practice, a breathing practice or anything? You might
Mhm.
not be prepared to do that, but
I always go with the flow. That's the other thing about me. I'll go with whatever's going on in the moment. Being present is how we increase our awareness and take control of situations.
okay.
So let's do the put your hand on your heart. If you feel called to, or if it feels comfortable, take those 2 quick breaths through your nose and let it out. And just notice what happened in your body as you did that. And one more time, 2 quick breaths. And notice what's happening in your body. Notice what came up for you today. What are you carrying? What are you holding on to? And just remember, if you get stuck in any moments, you can go take your hands and pretend you're holding on to whatever it is that you're afraid to let go of, don't know how to let go of, don't know how to ask for help with. And imagine if I open my hands and let it go, let it sit there, let somebody else take some of that for me. Let me share that with someone. And then hold on to it again and let go again. And just know that once you open your hands and receive help and accept, that's the hardest part. As Lianna mentioned earlier, receiving help does not mean you're weak, does not mean you did something wrong, does not mean you can't do it. It just means I can't do it all. I don't need to do it all. So let's just take 2 more quick breaths through our nose and let it go. And remember, you can use this during any time in your day, day or night, if you need to just take a quick pause.
Thank you, Tracy. That was awesome. And thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We love you. Remember to subscribe, like, share with someone who needs to learn how to regulate and rise, because God knows, as much as people are going through right now, everybody can use a little helping hand. And be sure to comment, leave us a heart or something that lets us know that, you know, we're helping you and we love you. And thank you for being here. We appreciate you greatly.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.